well, we all been saying that shit. So everybody is saying, and as
Is
far as
that work songs? That would be work songs, right? Is that
right,
where they originated?
yeah, it was saying people are saying this is Reddit. So this is oral tradition, right? You could be a Google scholar all day, but nothing beats oral tradition because this is information and memories and history passed down, right? So she said a modern version reference to Dina, which is its own issue, but the original version did not. Instead, had a different content in Negro minstrel dialect. You read on Wikipedia. Other people are saying the same thing. This is so the railroad song is based on some racial slurs that are talking about them getting a bunch of black people to build the railroads. I rest my case on that.
So hey, I joined. I'm second generation Haitian American, and I'm not here to downplay or to talk bad about the significant contributions of FBA in America. Y'all are the foundation. I recognize this, and I speak truth to power wherever I go. You could call bullshit. Y'all don't know me. I don't know you, but I'm just telling you, who I am and where I'm coming from. What I'm here to do is talk about the prompt and talk about and defend, frankly, immigrant contributions as I see them. Because yes, FBA, they're here. They weren't immigrants, but they built America. They built the White House, right? Most of the laying of the tracks of the railroads you see, they built that. What I'm here to talk about are the contributions, as you define them, that immigrants did make. Things that weren't here, that immigrants helped create, that I think we should recognize. Because as a Haitian, people love telling me, oh, my people weren't relevant in America until the 70s, like the 1970s, or until the Immigration Act that was passed following the civil rights. They keep telling me that. But they don't care about my history. They don't know my history. They don't know my people's history. So I can't expect them to know about the Haitians who came here and doubled the population of New Orleans in the 1800s, right? Who came here and helped build Chicago. The Haitians who came and fought in the Revolutionary War, right? And died. And there's a statue in Atlanta, Georgia.
That
Thank God for
word,
that
that
statue.
word, that word. You can't say the
They
D word. Got to say unalive. You
oh,
got,
my bad, my bad, my bad,
yeah.
trap.
Thank
My bad.
you. Yeah. TikTok friendly language, please. Go ahead. Continue.
And I have some questions about what you
Uh,
said after you're done, but okay.
okay. I'm happy that FBA came onto this platform though and challenged and put a flag down. They put their own flag down and forced me to go back and check my own history so that I could appreciate it more. And so I could do the calculus, and I appreciate y'all more and I appreciate my own people more. But I want to say that we should also like I'm not gonna come here and expect y'all to know my whole history, but I have to come here and say like Haitians also, I'm second generation, so I wasn't here. I can't claim to have a lineage as far as maybe Afro Elite, but I know that some of my people did do work here in America, and
Can I
I
stop you
can't
for
just
1 minute?
You
I'm
I can't
black.
sorry.
astroturf it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Did you say your race is black? Are there white T Haitians? Because I seen a comment and then I looked at your page. I just kind of want to make sure that you are a Afro Haitian, if
We
that's a thing.
I
we
If
get
am.
that's
I
a thing.
can't.
I'm
Can I turn
sorry.
on my? Can I turn on my?
If you're dressed, I don't see. Okay.
okay.
It
I,
Are you multiracial? Are you?
My
Uh,
dad. My dad's light skinned, but I
okay.
mean, it's not
I
helped
see
me
you.
that much.
I
I
see
mean,
the
I guess
features.
I check myself. I'm not dark skinned, right? Obviously,
Right. Hmm.
but I've never been mistaken as a white person in this country. So
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You
Continue.
said the Haitians came over and helped build and helped fight in the Revolutionary War, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. What year did that happen?
I'd have to check. I don't know off the top of my head, but it was during the revolution.
Okay. Do you know when the Revolutionary War was?
I
Because
don't know
the
off the top of
years
my head.
don't add up. The years don't add up because Haiti wasn't a independent state. It wasn't independent from the French. Haiti didn't technically exist until 1804, and that was after the Revolutionary War. That was a good 30 years after the Revolutionary War.
Well,
I'm
you
not
could
trying to.
Google it. I'm not lying to you. It's actually happened, and that monument in Georgia, paying respect to Haitian troops, is there. This is real life. That's not a lie.
Okay, okay. I'm I'm asking because you made the statement, and I'm trying to get the dates correct because the dates are important. Because Haiti technically did not exist. There was no Haiti in the world until 1804. You know, and I'm not trying to disrespect them. I'm just trying to say if you said that they were a huge factor in the Revolutionary War that happened a good 30 years before they got to before they were independent, I'm trying to figure out how that was possible.
I mean, I could go back and check, but I don't see how it invalidates like the chain here, right? Immigrants coming to the country helped, even if their
Hey,
country, even if go ahead.
Okay, and I'm not trying to disagree with the fact that there were immigrant contributions in the land that is known as the United States of America. For the whole time I've been here, I'm not trying to do that. But what is happening is that when we say that, we say it and such, we give so much more credit than what is due. It becomes a thing of this country was not built by slaves. It was built by immigrants. If we start getting into that territory, and that's not the truth. The truth is that it was built by the slaves. It was built by the slaves. There were other people who came to the country voluntarily and contributed to the country, and we can give them credit where credit is due. I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody's ancestors, but I'm not going to sit up here and give stolen valor or allow that to commence. I'm not going to sit up here and allow people to take away from the credit of my ancestry to give it to theirs. I'm not going to allow that to happen.
can I enter this? If they were enslaved at the time they came here to help, they didn't do it on their own volition. So is that what we're finding? The dates add up to where Haiti would have still been enslaved?
Let me check.
Thank
Hey, I
you.
have a question. I have a question. What is it with the obsession with we had did some part of America? I have yet to see a Black American going to somebody land and say, "Well, we built this, we helped did this, we helped." I mean, because honestly, we don't care to do that. Because if we did, if we had Mexico, if we had Africa, we'll be worried about building that up, then going into somebody else's country and contributing to their country and neglecting their own. I mean, why people are so obsessed with having history in America? What's this obsession?
Thank you.
Well, Haitians were obsessed with freeing blacks in America, and the Haitian Revolution
Welfare.
happened in I'm sorry. The American Revolution, I'm sorry, was from 1765 to 1783. Those Haitians who came were free men already, and they came in 1779. And
What was their race?
what was their race?
Yes, because when you bring up New Orleans, no, you didn't really bring up New Orleans, but if you bring up Haitians coming, they usually have went to New Orleans. But what we're finding, it was a white tea or mulatto Haitians have brought a few of their enslaved because so they were the free ones and they were running from Haiti and whatever Haiti was going through. So I'm just trying to figure out if these were the Afro Haitians that we would see today, who's running around here trying to say if it wasn't for Haiti, you wouldn't, you wouldn't be free. I get pushed back to that narrative because we've been revolting on this land since I found as early as 1712. So I just when
And
Haitians
for
come up here, it's a little cringy sometimes, right? Because we do give them their accolades for winning their independence and being the first established free black nation. However, during certain time periods, they were still enslaved, and it was the white Haitians that brought the Afro Haitians here, the ones who were African descendants here.
and I
So
want to
that's
say,
the issue that I'm finding. Go ahead, Halo.
oh, and I want to say, like, they say, oh, well, this is a white tea country, all this, okay, blah, 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 the gaslighting. But at the end of the day, Black Americans, and I guess white tea Americans are the only people that's not getting deported, okay? The people who's getting deported is everybody of another ethnicity and race. You might not get deported because you came here legally, but your people are. And none of my people is getting deported. So when you sit here and say, "Well, this is a well, why ain't deporting us then? Why we ain't getting deported?" You can say what you want, but at the end of the day, it's jealousy. It's you jealous because you want you. They keep on calling us slaves and stuff, but you want to be the slaves. You want that history so you can say that you did so much in America because you neglected your own land to come over here and try to and put yourself in something. No, you need to start back at home. Do you not see what the universe is trying to do? The universe is trying to send you back home so you can build it. But instead, you're crying. You're putting up a fight. Go home. Go home. Stop talking about America and talk more about your land. That's where you got to start. You got to start worrying about what is the greatness in your own land. What did you build over there? Did you build anything over there? You keep saying that we ain't got this, we ain't got that, but you got a whole land over there and you neglect it. What is your excuse? Why is the obsession with the history over here when you got a whole land? You're not proud of your land? You're not proud of the history in your own land? I mean, to me, if I had my own land, then I'll be like, F what's going on in America. I'm gonna talk about what's going on in my land because this is the greatness in my land. But instead, you neglect your own land to talk about somebody else's land, and then you want me to sit here and think you're proud to be who you are? I don't think you're proud. Because if you was, you wouldn't be so forceful to say, oh, I did this in America. Who cares? What about your land? What about building that over there? And instead you neglect it to talk about and try to put yourself in history. So we did this, oh, we did that. Okay, but what did you do on your land? That's more important. You got a whole land. It's more y'all over there than it's us over here. Why are your main concern is American history? What about your history in your land? When you gonna start trying to build over there? When you gonna start bragging about the land over there? You should be happy to bring up your land. When it comes to Black Americans, I'm not finna go to somebody else's land, even though if it was the shoe was on the other foot in another country. I mean, I'm not finna go over there. If I helped another country out if we helped another country out, we ain't finna go over there and be like, oh yeah, we did this in your country. We did that. We don't care. We don't care.
Let
We
me let me
don't.
put
All
this
right.
in,
So
let
I
me
did
put my
my own
answers in
looking up.
context.
1 minute, y'all. 1 minute. Everybody on mute. So okay. So according to this, Pusha Red is correct. There were 500 Haitians who came. However, we have 5,000 Black Americans. So I mean, come on, Haiti. Y'all gotta
And
stop.
and here's the
Y'all
thing.
gotta
I'm
stop.
looking at
Oh,
it.
when
I'm
what
looking at it, and I want to
does that
give y'all. I
erase?
want.
Does that erase
Hold
the
on.
people who died though?
No,
Does that
no. I
erase
want to
it?
give y'all
Hold
first
on,
off.
hold on, hold on. What do you
The
mean a
prompt
race
is
of people
about
that
us building the country.
unalive? What do you mean? He said, is that a race
My
of people
bad.
who
My bad.
unalive?
My bad. Does that erase
When
their
y'all gonna teach us
contribution
something that's
just
going on in
because?
your land?
Hold on.
Teach
No,
us.
Well,
everybody
Halo,
can
Halo,
stop.
I'm
Everybody
No,
can.
because
American,
okay, so
so
here's the thing. I know that y'all want to be proud and y'all want to say that y'all went around and y'all helped everybody and stuff, but you don't understand that Black Americans are going through an ethnocide. Do you know what ethnocide is? So when you come up and you contest our history, we're going to give you pushback every time. We don't only have the white tea people trying to whitewash and take away our credit. We have the Jamaicans, we have you, we have the Latinos,
I'm
like it's
not.
the Africans. Like we have all these people that come up here and contest our
Look,
history.
I'm not
We're
trying to
I'm gonna
steal
let
your.
you.
solidified here, sir. We're
I'm gonna let you
solidified.
go ahead and speak for 2 straight
All right,
minutes. Nobody interrupt you.
I'm a mute then. I'm a mute.
Go ahead. 2 straight minutes. You got it. We're being very fair. Go ahead.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you. I'm not trying to erase your history or whitewash your history. I'm just trying to talk about what I know of mine, and I'm not trying to say and to respond to what Halo said. I was born here. Like this is my country. Um, Haiti's where my lineage is from. I acknowledge that, but
I'm talking about your
am I,
lineage. I'm not talking
Go
about where
ahead.
you were born at.
but you
Halo.
kept saying go back to your country, go back to your country, or go back to your people.
I never said
America is
just.
my country.
Okay, whatever. If you want to neglect your own land and say you
Go
born
ahead.
somewhere,
Go
America's my
ahead.
land. America's my land. I mean, I don't have the lineage you have. I
You
acknowledge that, and I respect your lineage. I'm just saying that I was born here. So
To be fair, both of y'all are right. You
Okay,
know.
here you have a timer, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. And I don't got a ton much to say, and I want to respond to what BX said. Yeah, there are a lot of African Americans, foundational African Americans, who, in the face of slavery, in the face of that great injustice, they said, "I'm still going to fight for this country during the revolution," right? Which is an astonishing fact, right? That's the spirit that I look up to when I think about like the spirit of America. In spite of that huge injustice, we fought for this country and we died for it. And there was 10 times plus, probably more than 10 times the amount of African Americans fighting on behalf of this country. But I want to defend what exists here, because every time I come in these conversations, y'all got to defend yourself against people whitewashing history, but you can't wipe out my history too, because I feel like I've got a stake in this country too, and I want to fight for this country. When I see what's going on in the White House, I want to fight too, because this is my country too. And my people, Haitians, went up. They made Chicago, right? A Haitian person and African Americans made Chicago. They helped build New Orleans. They other people from the Caribs. I'm let me just finish this sentence. Other immigrants from here, they were here for the civil rights movement too. They didn't play as big a big as role as FBA. But yo, hear me out. First generations, Maya Angelou, Malcolm X's mom was from Grenada. Stokely Carmichael from Trinidad. He was an immigrant, a whole immigrant, and he was leading in the Black Panthers. I'm not saying that these people have ownership over fundamentally American Black movements. I just want to acknowledge that when the time came and they were here and other Black people came and said, "We need your help," they didn't just run
How do you
away.
build
They didn't just
Chicago
run
Hold
when there
away.
was already
on.
people there?
Hold on. Okay, here's the thing. Respectfully, the prompt is America was not built by immigrants, because that is the erasure of our ancestors' contributions and our ancestors' work, the blood, sweat, and tears of generations, from literally being babies as slaves to old men and old women dying as slaves, that built America. So that's what we're talking. That's the context of what we're talking about. I don't think any FBA on this panel is going to dismiss that there were some immigrants from the diaspora who came in and who were helpful. I'm not going to dismiss that. I'm not going to
Oh,
dismiss
we got. I'm going to
nothing like
contest.
that.
I'm going to contest the narrative that they try to spin around Malcolm, right?
Okay, yeah, but
Because, oh, yeah, okay. Go
and
ahead.
I'm gonna let you speak, but we're not here. This isn't what the prompt is about. The prompt is about the actual nation and the foundation of the nation being built. And who was the builders of the foundation of the nation? Because when we claim that we built this country, we have been told for generations, no, we have not built this country. It was everybody. So everybody equally deserves credit for building this country. When the fact of the matter is that everybody else decided to leave their country to come to another country. We're the only people who did not leave our country to come to another country. So that makes us different. I'm not trying to discredit the Haitians revolutionaries, their work, and I'm not trying to discredit their contributions, but what cannot be done. And I think it's better that is done this way, is that the amount of pride that you have in your Haitian heritage and everything, that should be in the context of Haiti. Because even when you bring up the 15 soldiers, the 500, soldiers that came and fought in the Revolutionary War, the battle they fought, they lost. And I'm not trying to say that that doesn't make them brave. I'm not trying to say that doesn't make them a soldier. I'm not trying to say that doesn't make them anything. But they're, and as respectful as possible, their contribution was honorable. Okay, and it should be remembered and it should be spoke upon. But if they were not there, the outcome of the Revolutionary War would have stayed the same. So when we're saying who built the country, we're talking about the quite literal foundation of this nation, and that was our ancestry. And when you come in and when you try to interject with what your ancestry did, you're trying to say, well, hold on, let me squeeze my ancestry, other ancestors brought to the country after the country was already established. That's what the conversation is about.
Can I input when he said that dude who went to Chicago? You know he was a white
Well,
French.
hold on. Let me let
He was
BX go ahead
mixed
about the Malcolm
actually,
comment. Let
and
me
it was
let
people
BX go
already
ahead.
there.
Hold on. Yeah,
Okay.
let me let
Yeah.
BX go ahead about the Malcolm.
So here's the thing. Black Americans already knew Malcolm's mom was Caribbean, but we also know that he has a full FBA father, and he was actually raised by his FBA family. I don't want to get into the status of his mother, but she was undergoing a lot because Malcolm's father was also an activist. We understand that they were Garveyites, right? And so, as a mom who has bi ethnic children, because their father is Jamaican, I would hate to be raised in such a manner when I know I had the biggest influence on my children. So what I do is allow my children to identify as they wish. One will acknowledge, well, two will acknowledge their Jamaican heritage, and one is just standing on being Black American. And so Malcolm now, when did he visit the island? No history has been shown. When has he specifically spoke or advocated for those on the island? There's no speech that I found. I've asked people who even studied it, people who are NOI. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's like y'all went around picking at things to say, look, haha, we got Caribbean here, we helped you. We already knew that. We already know about the intra-American slave trade when they were taking people from New York and shipping them to the Caribbean back and forth. Like we know these things, right? But we're talking about foundational Black American and our history. And those people who were shipped back and forth, if they stayed in the Caribbean, they're Caribbean now. They had their ethnogenesis there. Those who were shipped here, if they stayed here for a certain amount of time, they are Black American now. They had their ethnogenesis here. Like I just woke up one day and decided to start poking the bear. We know who's Caribbean and who's not. We know Stokely is and who's not. We know about Marcus Garvey. We know that Jamaica didn't care about Marcus Garvey either. And we know that he underlies over there, lonely over there, or whatever, with his mistress or something in the UK. So we know all these things. You don't have to bring up Malcolm X. Malcolm X is ours.
Okay,
Okay?
Stokely Carmichael then.
He's Trinidadian and shout out
When
to
did yes,
him.
brother?
Shout out
When
to
did
him.
Okay?
Stokely? When did
Okay?
Stokely? You're moving the conversation. When did Stokely Carmichael come to America?
I mean, I understand the point you're trying to make.
No,
We can
because that
remove
was
him.
after America was built. So you're bringing up Stokely Carmichael. You might as well bring up somebody from today.
Well, let me ask you this then. What exact date did America finish being built? Like when did they finish building America?
America roughly finished being got done being built. The foundation of it really in the mid 1800s,
What
around
what
the mid 1800s.
what exactly caused it to be finished? Like what accomplishment completed the foundation?
Well, really the
Economic
economy and the
implementation.
economy of the governments flowing into the federal government,
Well,
the
that's kind of
buildings in the
vague.
cities.
Like what that's vague, isn't it?
I
The
mean,
economy?
is it not vague to say what? When, okay, ask the question again.
I mean,
Exactly.
you like respond by saying like the foundation was already built, the country was already built. I just want to know like what date and what exactly are you using to say that this is when it was finished being built? Like what exactly
Because
is it that caused it
the
to
major
say?
infrastructure of this country was established. Not that it was always improved or it was in its perfect form, but the major infrastructure was established by that time. You cannot really name major infrastructure. I mean, Wall Street was already a thing. The federal government was already a thing. The country already had major buku things of wealth. The economy was already flowing, and each state was already flowing with its own separate economy. The railroads was already a thing. There was already colleges and all that stuff, schools and all of that here. So all of the major infrastructure was already in this land, really in the 1800s, and anything additional to that happened before the 1900s.
Because even if that foundation is laid, like there are other huge contributions to America
And
that
no,
fundamentally changed
you're
America.
trying to argue that there was contributions when we're trying to argue about the foundation. Like we're trying to argue about who built
Foundation
the
isn't in the
house.
prompt though.
No,
Foundation isn't in
no,
the prompt though.
yeah, but built is in the prompt. We're trying to
Built is
argue about who
bigger. That's
built it.
bigger than foundation. If you want to say that slaves built the foundation of America, I'm 100% with you. But To say the
But
prompt
that's
is
what
way
the prompt
broader
is.
than that,
To
though.
build, you have to lay a
The,
foundation.
the prompt is
Agreed.
about America was not built by immigrants. Immigrants came after the country was already established.
Because what would America be without the telephone, right? And who made the telephone? Was
Sir,
it
when did the
A German?
telephone, sir, when would the and I agree, but what would America be without flat screen TVs? And when did that come out? You can't say that that was the foundation of America. I mean, like, what are we doing here?
Okay, so telephones aren't part of the foundation, but the
No, they are
economy
not
is.
part of the foundation.
Can you list the items that are part of the foundation? Because
Gaslighting now.
The
You're
first,
gaslighting.
the
railroad
first.
was a
I'm
part
not
of the
gaslighting.
foundation.
I'm not
You
gaslighting.
No,
are.
the
You're
Let's talk.
railroad.
gaslighting.
Let's talk about real details then. Real details, right? The first railroad in America was the B&O Railroad line in Baltimore,
He's
right?
Googling. Do y'all see that?
Okay,
And
and what date would that come?
and that started. And why not Google so we can be accurate?
I mean, like,
Why
cause
not?
why come up
Wait,
here and don't
you know
even
what?
It's
be educated when you already come
I'm
up here?
still,
it's
I'm still,
1837.
I'm still seeing
Yeah, hold
red
on,
by him
everybody. Pause
mentioning
real quick.
Malcolm.
Pause real quick. You
Take
came
W.E.B.
and you
Du
were trying
Bois.
to be very respectful when you came in. That's what you were saying when you came in. Now we're saying, hey, we're not here. And I think everybody on the panel acknowledged your ancestry and their work, and we gave credit where credit is due. We didn't mind giving flowers where flowers is due. Now you're trying to really impose your ancestry in the Caribbean into America by trying
I'm not
to
talking about
impose
Haiti
them
anymore.
and being the foundation. We're saying that they came and they were, let's say, great additions to the country in the history, but they're not the foundation. The
I'm not
foundation
talking
of the
about
nation is
Haiti.
already built.
I'm
And
not
now
talking
you're
about Haiti right
arguing
now.
that.
Can you please
You be
reiterate
gaslighting.
your
Okay,
debate?
now we got cars. Okay, well, what about
So
the
if that's
cars?
the
What
case,
about
what was
this?
the
What?
real argument? Yeah,
Look,
That's
I'm
not the
not. I'm
foundation
not.
of America.
I've also acknowledged the significant contributions FBA is making. I'm not trying to impose. And if you find what I'm saying offensive, tell me to kick
no,
rocks.
it's
I'll
not
leave.
about
I'm
offensive
just
We're
trying.
talking
because the
about
thing is, brother,
foundation. The
I'm trying.
foundation.
you're
If
moving
you're,
the goalpost so you can
let me
fit
stick
your
to your.
people in.
Let me stick to your goalpost. The railroad, right? I'm gonna stick to the railroad.
Oh my God.
That
So,
was not the goalpost. I gave an example
but
because you asked what was the huge infrastructure building blocks that was here for America. That
is a
America pretty much
railroad part of
founded
that?
things.
Telephone
Yes,
is not a foundation.
the
Telephone is not.
railroads were a part of that
Sorry.
because the
Okay.
railroads was one of the ways that the slaves were able to, or the slave masters rather, they were able to move their cotton around the country when slaves in America were still picking cotton.
Okay.
You
So
I
know,
just want to know where's.
sticking to the.
I just want
So
to know, like,
now
when y'all come over
what's the
here.
argument now?
When y'all
like,
come over here, right? I be just trying to figure out, like, y'all can tell us all this about America, but y'all can't tell us nothing about where the land you come from. And this thing, like, y'all will be say y'all born here, right? When your lineage is somewhere else. Like, this the thing. Like, if I was American and I was born somewhere else, but my lineage is in America, do you think I'm about to be claiming to be from the UK when my
Okay,
lineage is in America?
but we're having an educational moment. So,
peace.
what?
Can I
How do you
say
pronounce your
something?
name? How do you pronounce your name? Fusha?
Fuchsia, sure. Yeah.
Fisha. Okay. So the argument, so what I'm saying is that America was an established and running country in comparison to the rest of the world. It was not underdeveloped. It was more developed than the rest of the world's countries in the mid 1800s. Now there was additions that came later, but most of the immigrants didn't come until the latter half of the 1800s. And
I
that was
think
well after the country was established. So the narrative that America was built by immigrants is incorrect because they came to an established country. They left a not a all destroyed country, but for the most part, they left a destroyed country or a country that was going through famine and a country that was going through hardship and ruin to come to a flowing and established country with a flowing and established economy that was built off slaves. Yeah, that they put their own 2 cents into it. We're not going to sit up here and argue that. But we're going to say is that when y'all talk about building something, if we built a house from start to finish, from ground up, from the basement to to the roof, and then y'all come and decorate the house, you can't say you built it. That's all we're making. That's all we're saying. That's the only argument we're making.
So I just want
Peace,
to
brother.
point.
Can I
I want
say
to.
something? I think the
Derek,
big
hold
problem
on.
is. Go ahead.
Hold on. I'm gonna let him respond to that.
30 seconds. I am God. Appreciate you. I just want to point out that the first railroad, yes, black men were hired to help build it, but the B&O Railroad prohibitively prevented slaves from working on it, right? They said no slaves are going to be a part of the first railroad, the B&O Railroad. And they didn't just employ black men, they employed Irish immigrants. So, yes, like I'm not going to say that slaves weren't used to fill out the entire Southern Railroad across the Rust Belt. That happened. But you want to you before you were giving this other guy a hard time about, oh, they built a rail station, but the railroad was here first. They did this first. So we were building here first. When the first railroad in America was built jointly by Irish immigrants and by foundational black men.
There were
I'm
barely
not
Give
any
trying
me a
to
year.
Irish.
Give
let me
me.
just
Stop.
finish
You
let me
are.
just finish the
You are.
sentence.
Give me a
Let me
year.
I'm
I got
gonna
my
stop.
computer too. What
I'm
did
just
you
gonna
say it
stop.
was?
I just want to stop.
Since you're viewing it from your lens, I want to view it too. What railroad did you say? B and it? B and O
B&O,
railroad? And give me a
B&O,
year.
Baltimore and Ohio Railroad between 1839,
Notice how they don't have the facts like
37,
what
and
Afro Elite
42.
That's
said.
not true. There was railroads.
You you
There was
doing
railroads decades before then, dude.
What
Exactly.
And
you're
railroad?
see, this
doing
What
is
what the
our
railroad?
last
problem.
dude did.
Hold on, because I'm trying not to snap, but this is our problem. Because every time we try to establish that we did something, you have people who are not from our lineage who come in here as contrarians, being like, nope, 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 y'all didn't do it all. Nope, 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 no. And this is exactly why we're making this prompt.
But what
Because we
railroad?
can't claim anything. Hold on, we can't claim anything without immigrants coming here or people from immigrant backgrounds coming in here trying to be contrarians and trying to imply that they were some huger factor than they were. You're inserting yourself into our
I'm
history.
not talking
This
about
is the
Haitians.
reason
I'm
why
not
we're
even
doing
talking about
that.
Haitians
No,
right
no,
now.
because you have a problem with us claiming to be the foundation of this country. That's why
I
you're looking
don't.
it up and trying
I'm
to
just saying that.
disprove. No,
I'm
you're
saying
trying
that.
to disprove, sir. You're trying to disprove us being the foundation of this country.
You
That's
know
what
what
you're.
I think
That's
the
exactly.
problem
That's the
is?
only reason
That's
you're
not
googling
true.
stuff right
Not
now.
true.
Let
Not
me
true.
input real
Not
quick.
true.
Future,
Not
we're,
true at
You
we're
know
all.
what I
confused
think the
because
problem is, my brother?
we
I
don't.
think that these people, they're getting their information from Google. That is the problem.
Right.
They're not doing extensive research. You got to go beyond that.
Look, if you notice, he's doing what the last dude did. He's coming up here with no information. He didn't have no education on none of this stuff. He just came up here so he can rebuttal on the whole situation of us saying we're foundational. We built this. He's doing exactly what the last dude did. If you can't tell, and he ran. The dude had to go run to Google too. Ran to Google and he's like, well, I don't
I brought
couldn't
up
get
plenty of
none of
other
the dates.
details.
Couldn't get none of the dates together.
I
Didn't
brought
have
up
none
plenty
of
of
his
other
ducks in a
details.
row.
Well, how many
But just
dates have you
came up
brought?
here
How
so
many
he could
dates have you brought,
discredit.
Halo? What
Came
dates
up
have you
here so
brought?
he could discredit. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you
I
something.
have a few
As
because
a black
BNO
American,
is a.
as a black
Go ahead.
American, I can't get deported. So after you done doing all that, my lineage can't get deported out of America. But guess what? Your lineage is getting deported. That the Haitian lineage is getting deported. The every other race and ethnicity is getting deported. But my people. So at the end of the day, when you done crying about what you built over here, right? You people still got to go home to the unbuilt land that they didn't build on.
Okay.
Okay, so at the end of the day, while you over here bragging, trying to include yourself in American history, you got unfinished business to do on your own land. Because at the end of the day, while you're going back and forth with Black Americans, we can't get deported. And guess what?
I can't
While
get
your
deported. My
people
parents can't
leaving,
get
our
deported. My
people
sister
still gonna
can't
be
get
here.
deported.
Our
Look,
people still
I'll
gonna
be
be
there.
We
here.
are
I'll be
moving.
right
Okay,
here with you.
No,
I'll be right here with you.
hold on, y'all, hold on, because I'm gonna clear this up. He said B&O was the first railroad, but what? And it was built by the Irish and this and that in 1820. Ain't that what
And
he
black
said?
people and black Americans too.
Hold on. But that wasn't the first railroad. That was the first common carrier, I think they said. Yeah, common carrier railroad. And before the B&O was the quarry tramways introduced around 1800, a state charter for a tram rod in New Jersey received in 1815, a charter for a railroad in Pennsylvania. So well, I think you kind of I think you kind of didn't tell the whole truth, but tried to
BX,
tell it
are
in a
you
way
res-
that we wouldn't. Then they had the South Carolina Canal and Railroad Company, which was formed in 1830 and is noted for having the first steam locomotive built. Okay. And then it says,
um
while it is well documented that enslaved people were forced to build many railroads in the South, particularly in the decades leading up to the civil unrest, because we can't say the other word, the search results do not explicitly mention the use of enslaved labor on the very earliest railroads built before the B&O began construction in 1828.
I
Then it
appreciate
says
that.
it's
I'm gonna take a look at
highly
that. I'm gonna take a look at that too.
right.
Now, the
It
reason
says
why we're
it's
saying this,
highly probable. I'm sorry, I'm in here. It's highly probable that some form of enslaved labor was used in the construction of early railroads in the southern states, but pinpointing the very first one built before the B&O used enslaved labor is not possible based on the provided information. And then you can bring in the fact that we did have a lot of documents that were destroyed and things of that nature. So we did work on the railroads, but that being an old thing is a different thing. It's a like a common carrier type of thing. So that would be a passenger railroad, correct?
I think so, but I'm gonna look up what you said, the
but
Pennsylvania Railroad, and
here's the
thank you
thing,
for
because
bringing
we're
that up.
gonna have to let other people speak. We're gonna have to
Yeah.
respect other
No
people's time. But I'm
problem.
gonna say this: you came up here and you said that you're gonna respect and you're not trying to take away anything that our people have done, and then, but you try to insert that as far as the foundation of this country, Haitians were a huge factor or a big factor in the foundation of this country. You did when you
I
talked about the
huge.
revolutionary.
Did I use the word
You
huge?
you said you tried to imply that they were
No,
big factors.
let me then
Did
a
you not?
correction. I didn't say that. I said they made a contribution. I'm not trying to
Okay,
suggest they
nobody
made more
argued that they
contribution.
didn't. But you tried to, first off, when you
But
tried to
host,
say we made
respectfully,
contributions and y'all
again and
made
again and
contributions,
again,
you're
I
trying
kept
to make it
saying,
seem like,
I again and
sir,
again and again, I
sir,
kept saying FBA
sir,
has made
sir,
a bigger
you did.
contribution.
That's exactly what you
I
did in
kept
the
saying
first
it.
thing. We didn't make a
I
contribution. We did it. We
Fact, you
did
came in
it.
like
We
you
did it.
came
You
in as
can't
if like a
but
say
hundred
a
thousand.
contribution is not doing the whole thing. We did it.
how can you
And
listen
you're
to what
trying
I
to
said and then
insert.
say how can you listen to what I had said and say that I'm trying to say that Haitians made a huge contribution? I
No,
acknowledge they
no,
only have
no. Because
500
when you
soldiers.
say we made a big contribution, you're making it seem like there was other people doing it. We did
I
it.
never said
We
big.
were the only people. When you say we made a contribution, and then subsequent after you said, you tried to insert the Haitian history in the foundation of this country, and when that was challenged, and I was all like, okay, well, you're making a bigger claim than really what it is. You're making more of it than what it is. Then when I'm saying that, oh, then you brought up other immigrants from the diaspora, and you said, weren't they a big contribution? Weren't they a big contribution? And I said, well, you know what? We're not even going to deny that, but we're talking about the foundation of this nation, which was established really in the mid 1800s. Then you challenged that. And then you were all like, how was it? Why would you say it was established in the mid 1800s? I said, pretty much the infrastructure of the entire nation was in function around the mid 1800s. You challenged that. Then you was all like, okay, give me some examples. I said, I mean, as far as the government, as far as the states, as far as the economy, as far as the railroads, you challenged that. Then you started looking up, oh, well, the Irish, they did it, so you can't just say it was slaves. It was this. So you're challenging and you're trying to be a contrarian to us establishing the credit and us giving ourselves the credit for building the country. While you're trying to,
I
while you're
think
saying, you're
if that's
saying
the
you're
only
not
thing you
doing
got
it,
from what I
sir,
said,
sir,
then
sir. I'm
sad.
no.
I'm
You've been
sorry.
talking for a long time.
I
Okay, you
failed
need
this
to
time.
stop
I'm sorry.
talking. You need to
I'm
stop
sorry.
because you've been saying that for the longest time that you're not doing that.
I
Yet
failed you, bro.
everything we claim, you've been challenging the entire way through. There's not one thing. Name one thing we've claimed that you haven't challenged. You've
That
challenged everything we said.
That FBA built the foundation of this country. I said yes.
No,
I
you did
agree.
not say build. You said we contributed
Whoa!
originally.
When me and Anwar were saying, oh, we built, we're talking about the foundation. I said, hey, I'm right there with you. And
Sir,
if that is
let me
if
ask you a
what you
question.
just said, if what
Did you yes or no? Did you yes or no? Let me ask you. Did you yes or no challenge when I said that the foundation of the country, that the country was already established in the mid 1800s?
what did I ask you? I asked you, tell me. how that works, right?
Okay,
What exact date?
that's
That's not a
challenging.
challenge. That's asking for
That
details. I
is
want to
because you're
know
trying to be
more.
a
That's not
no.
a
You
challenge.
disagreed. You
That's not a
disagreed with that.
disagreement. I didn't say no. I asked for more information.
No, you
There's a difference
disagreed
between
because I was
asking
all
for
like,
more
no,
information.
no.
I,
That is true, sir. That is true, so. But
I
in the
don't know, man.
context that you asked that question in a contrarian contrast context.
No, I didn't. I'm being very earnest when
Okay,
I'm asking you for more information. And look,
sir.
I'm eating up too much time. You're right. I want to say that it's not in my heart to try and claim uh, the foundation of this country for Haiti. I think that's absurd, and I
Did
think
you
it's
not
a
say?
shame. It's a shame. It's a
Because you
shame if
know
that's
this
the
is
only
being
thing you
recorded.
got from what I was saying.
You
It's a
know
shame
this
if
is
that's the
being
only thing you're
recorded.
walking away.
Did you not? Did you not? Because
That's
when I say you
that's all I'm gonna
challenged
say.
it, because this is being, people can listen to the playback. Did you not challenge the fact that it was built here? Because when I said it was built around the 1800s, you said, why would you say the facial expression you made? Why would you say it was built around that time? And I said, okay, well, the infrastructure was pretty much flowing around there. You said, yeah, like what? And I said, like the railroads. Why would it just be the railroads? Didn't you say, well, yeah, what about the telephone? And the telephone wasn't established until, isn't that an intricate part? I said, no, not really. And then you challenged the fact that the telephone is not an intricate part of America. I remember everything you said. And I remember the fact that you were trying to challenge my claim that America was established in the 1800s. That's what you were doing. Now, let's continue because we're not going to be able to be here all night.
May I
All
speak?
right.
Doctor, oh yeah, what's your race and ethnicity? I know you've been waiting for a long time.
Yeah. I would love to have a nice conversation of communication. My ethnicity, I used to think that I was the color of a crayon, black, until I got enlightened. And I used to think that I was an African visiting in America until I got enlightened. And I used to think I was native to this land until I got enlightened to realize that America just didn't get great. It's always been great. And it predates any other human being stepping foot on the surface of this nation. Our ancestors built this nation, and I am an indigenous man. You are my indigenous brothers and sisters. See, we're the only ones that's able to say that. But when we think that we're African visiting America, we're native to this land, when Europeans came over here and called themselves $5 Indians and called themselves Indians, no, our civilization predates that thousands of years. We have bigger and more pyramids over here in the Northern Americas than they have in Egypt. The Y chromosome of a black male in Illinois date back 338,000 years. This is what you're walking around with. This is the lie that's been covered up. They make you think that things started in 1800 and 1900, but it dates back thousands of years before then. You can Google the Chicago World's Fair, the Atlanta World Fair, and we communicate with our brothers and sisters from around the world. But they hid all this knowledge and wisdom and made you think that you just started in the 1800s when Alex Haley and the government got behind Alex Haley to brainwash everybody into believing that lie. When Harold Carlinder, 9 years before the government got behind Alex Haley to write that book, The African, he said, hey, man, you made a lot of money with that Roots movie. You owe me some money. And so he went to court and they settled it in court. And the judge said, I heard a lot of plagiarism cases in my life. I've judged over a lot of plagiarism cases in my life, but I never judged nothing like this. You didn't even bother to change the character. The main character in the white man's book, Harold Carlinder, the African, his main character is Kunta Kinte. See, so it's easy for people to say, well, we contribute this, we contribute that, when they don't know everything's been based on a lie that's been covered up by people that don't want people to know the truth of the indigenous people of color of this continent. You have to understand, we migrated around the world and we settled the world. Of course, we're all human beings, but why is it that everybody can come to America and get help, but we can't get help? Because they know we are the prototypical human being on this planet. And if you give us a crumb, we make it $1. You give us you give us a crumb, we make a cake. You give us a penny, we make it at $1. So as far as other people contributing, yeah, it's easy to say things when you've been lied to, but the truth of the matter is, white people didn't come over here and civilize nothing. They came over here and got civilized. We already had civilization going on. If you guys would just, we've been lied to. And it's the saddest thing to know that we've been lied to that much that we really don't know who we are. Even Putin said, as you can see on the walls of all the prolific figures of our walls, they're all black because Russia was black. And he said to all his spiritual leaders, he opened up the oldest Ark covenant known to Russia. Jesus is black. And then he pointed to America and said, America, tell your people who they are. See, people know who the indigenous people of color are in America, but it's a lie that they hide because if the truth ever came out, everybody would have to bow down because they know the truth. Why do you think they don't help you? Why is it that everybody piggybacks on our struggle? And then once they get to where they're going, they forget about it. See, you wonder why, well, how come many black people out there helping our brown brothers and sisters? It's because everybody piggybacks on our struggle. And once they get to where they're going, they turn their back on us. So it's like, have at it. Have at it. But as far as who established America, who contributed to America, America is already established, up and running, and they learn from us. As far as we invented the microchip, the laptop, the internet, the cell phone, air conditioning, refrigeration, traffic light, every single thing, even life came from us. Predating anything in Africa, anything around the world, it started in America, but that's the lie that they don't want you to know about. They don't want you to know the truth of who you are. Why you think the world is watching you in America? Ain't nobody caring about nobody you know what across the world. The eyes is on America because America just didn't get great. It's always been great, my indigenous brothers and sisters, before anybody else stepped foot on this land already established. But you've been lied to. Most of you guys don't even know about Ernest Wilkins Jr. You see, during World War II, Einstein told Roosevelt, since they think the Germans are so smart, they're working on a nuclear program. Roosevelt, we need to build a nuclear program. So we built the Manhattan Project, built by black people. But they couldn't figure out the equation to make the nuke go boom. Ernest Wilkins Jr. at the age of 13 was already in mathematics in a university at the age of 13,
Brother,
graduated at
I'm
the
gonna
age of
have to
17 and a
ask you
half.
the land because we got other people need to speak before we close.
Okay. Well, Ernest Wilkins graduated at the age of 17 and a half, 18, with a PhD degree in math. He figured out the equation to make it go boom. They didn't tell him what they were using his brain for until after they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. There's just so many things that we've done, and it's all been covered up and lied. I hope that you guys would find out the truth that Alex Haley told that lie. 90% of us already here. Did they ship us around the world and this is that? Yeah, they did that, but we was already here, you guys. But they don't want you to know that because then if they allow people to know that, they got to pay you. They got to pay you. Your ancestor lineage existed thousands of years before anybody stepped foot on this land. So it's
Thank
easy
you.
to say, well, we did this and we did that. Hey, bro, it was already done. It's already done. And that knowledge that you got was a lie. It's already up and running. We already had electricities running through pyramids, bro. That's what they are. They're free. There's free energy. There's a brother, Kumbutsu,
Okay,
and
I'm gonna have to ask you the land because we got to have other people speak. So I mean, I get it, and I appreciate that. Speaking truth to power about our indigenous history. Thank you. Appreciate you, brother.
don't let nobody tell you it just started. Been here thousands of years. It's just been lied to.
Yes, indeed. All right. Let me see. I think it's I am. Well, who is next, BX?
I would say Rebecca. I am God. I believe
Yeah,
he gave me
I
some.
think Rebecca was. Yeah, Rebecca, sister, you got it. What's your race and ethnicity?
I hope she didn't fall asleep.
Probably.
Rebecca, she went on pause. All right, well, 5, 4, 3, 2. You got it. I am God. Race and ethnicity, please.
Yes,
I know
I
you
agree.
gave the. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with the prompt. America was not built by immigrants. I believe it was invaded by immigrants and hijacked by immigrants. And you know, Dr. O basically said a lot of things that I was gonna say, but yeah, he's on point, and I agree with him.
For the record, what is your race and ethnicity?
American Indian, Black American,
American,
the
Black
so-called Black.
American.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, I just wanted to say one more thing with the host. You know, when you state that we were slaves, you know, according to certain documents that I was reading, that we were never slaves. We were POWs, you know, prisoners of war. You know, the only slaves were the Slavs.
Yes.
All right then. I mean, and when we say that, I mean, when people correct the whole nation, the narrative that we were slaves and say that we were POWs, prisoners of war, what is that like? What is the consequential difference in that? Like, what difference? Honestly, I'm asking because I'm not really seeing, because you're not the first person to make that correction. I'm trying to figure out like, why is this something that needed to be corrected if we are going to correct it into that?
Yeah, because
What
I
difference
think when
does
you
that make?
push the narrative slaves, that coincides with the whole theory of the outer Africa theory. You know, we came on ships as slaves. You know what I mean? So, you know, we were already here. So when they captured us and imprisoned us and locked us up and, you know, made us do certain things, it's just a different, you know, different outlook.
I mean,
A
yeah,
lot of us
we can
wasn't already here though.
we can still be we can still be enslaved. We can still be
Mhm.
enslaved even if we were already here. So
Yeah. Just like the
and
prison
when
system
people,
right now, you know, it's, you know,
yeah,
modern
but
day slavery.
yeah, I know. But when people say
Mhm.
things like um, prisoners of war and whatnot, right?
Mhm.
Um, I feel like that's negating the fact that there were people who were born into this. You're not born into being a prisoner of war. There were
Mhm.
babies out there picking cotton. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
those babies were not prisoners. Those babies were slaves.
Yeah. Well, another thing too, it kind of makes it seem like when they came here that we just was running and we didn't fight back. So it was actually a war going on with the Seminoles and, you know, and the Europeans. It was a battle.
No, that's true. I'm not gonna deny that.
You know.
Not gonna deny that. That's true.
Yeah, man. So that's what he was saying with the movie Roots. You know what I mean? It kind of made us look weak.
I can I interject real quick?
All right, go ahead. Then we're gonna start wrapping stuff up.
All right. I don't really feel like Roots made us look weak in any way. I feel like it showed more adversity about what we was able to go through and become after, if that makes sense. Um a lot of our people did go through terrible struggle, and that's a terrible thing, but look at the outcome. Look at what we built, what we created. Um, it's terrible that we were slaves, but at the same time, we stopped being them because we fought back. I don't like when a lot of black people kind of look down at the fact that some of our ancestors were slaves, because that's who we are. I mean, that's what we were in the past. And I have like a lot of respect for my ancestors who were enslaved people. So I don't like when people. I don't know. I just feel like people try to talk down on
No, he's
these
saying
places.
that our lineage is much greater than us. We didn't start from slavery.
Yeah, I
That's
know. Yeah,
And
I agree.
I
I agree
agree,
about
and
that
maybe that
wholeheartedly.
can be another conversation. I think that maybe that can be another conversation, and there can be two things true at the same time. I do think that we can acknowledge the fact that our history is much broader and deeper rooted in this nation than just slavery.
Fact.
However, I do want
Yes.
to also acknowledge the fact that there are some people, and I'm not saying either of you two brothers are doing it, but there are some people who are on platforms and trying to at damn near belittle slavery as a thing at all. Don't want to bring it up. Don't want to make it seem
Yeah.
like slavery almost didn't exist. I'm not saying YouTube, but I've seen channels
Mhm.
on YouTube and I've seen other people do that on their platforms, and that really dismisses and pushes under the rug the struggles that was slavery and the struggles that we did go through. I mean,
Fact.
we were more than that, but that should not be forgotten either.
Mhm.
Facts.
but we do have to put it in proper context of it being a lie that they told. It wasn't the story of slavery that was told from our point of view, the truth. It was a story told to us by people lying to us to push an agenda to push us into a state of weakness, of not
Yes.
knowing who we really are.
Facts. That's what
But
I'm saying.
but I feel like
You
y'all
said roof
perceive
and
y'all
everything.
are perceiving it as a weakness.
No, 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 no. We're not.
There
We're
are
not.
plenty
Because,
of
okay, hold on.
Africans that came over here through the transatlantic slave trade. That a lot of people did come on boats. That's just a fact.
Well, let
Okay,
me.
wait, hold
Here's
on,
what
because
we're
I don't
not
want
gonna
this to
do.
get out of hand. It is 4:44 a.m. That's the angel number. And on the East Coast, New York specifically. So I want to say to Afro, because this seems like this could turn into another hour long
That's exactly what I was about
conversation.
to say.
When can we expect you back so that we can invite the gentleman to come back? Because I think that American Indians and foundational Black Americans need to have a chat. Without when I'm on these apps, Afro, the thing that I notice is that there are radicals in each group. So we have radical FBA who will tell a black ethnic, you don't have four grandparents who are foundational, so you are an FBA. That's unfair because, to the ancestors of that person's lineage who put in work with full foundational Black American ancestors. Then there are American Indians who will come at foundational Black Americans, no matter if we're radical or mild, and say, well, don't call yourself black. You're a slave, baby. You're this, you're that. And I always say, well, I don't really go as hard on American Indians because one day I know I'll be on this app and find a cousin of mine out there identifying as American Indian. And I think that once the smoke clears and we get all of the buffer classes in their rightful places, which is out of our business, we got to come to the table anyway because why? Foundational Black Americans want land, so does the American Indians. Some may be intertwined and be going for the same land, but then things vary. We also want cash. A lot of American Indians and those who have that kind of mindset, since they don't even want cash, they just want land. So we do have to have the uneasy conversation, address the elephant in the room, but I'm just not sure if it's at 4:46 a.m.
Yeah, we
New
not
York
having on
time.
that. We've already been
Yeah,
on here
okay.
for long, much longer than we needed to be. I mean, this has been a really good conversation. Though. I think this has been an educational conversation, but it definitely, this steers us off the topic a lot. You know what I'm saying? Not a lot, but it steers us off the topic, and
Right.
this can go on for several hours. I do want to have BX. That's a really good idea because we do have people who are on like one side 10 toes down. They don't even want to hear an argument from the other side, saying that, we were, slaves here. And it's people who are on one side and they're not budging at all. It's almost like subgroups of how people believed we got here and they believe it to a T without any fault. And what happens is that they host their own rooms and they only allow people to speak who agree with them. And there's not really a respectful and educational discourse. It turns into an echo chamber. And this is on all sides. This is on all sides. So you'll have people here saying that nobody here came from Africa. And then you'll have people here saying that there were absolutely no Black indigenous people. So there's a complete two different opposite sides and they're not having a conversation of education. So I think that we should be the ones hosting that conversation soon. Not tonight. Not tonight. Let me see. Maybe tomorrow, if I have some time, I can probably see if I can host that conversation. I'm not going to really be able to host Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If there's some time, I'll see. But if not tomorrow, then maybe Friday.
If you apply science to that boat story, it's not going to add up.
We'll
Okay.
take that for the discussion because I saw Dane's.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on, guys. I saw somebody mention Dane Calloway. I'm familiar because I used to follow a lady who followed him. And I'm familiar with Top Cats because I hear and I see the American Indians on this app. So I think where you're about to go with the scientific route aligns with those two and their ideology and things of that nature. And that is going to be a longer, like, don't even introduce it now.
Yeah,
I'm
please don't
aware
do it.
we can talk about it when Afro decides to host that live. So I pretty much know where y'all going with the boats. Like it can't travel the Atlantic. Where are the ships now? Yeah, I used to follow an Indigenous lady, and she would teach us that type of history. And it's something new to people who have never thought like that before. So I'm willing to have the discussion with y'all because I'm familiar, but just not right now, Dr.
Okay.
O.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dr.
Thank
O, I
you.
requested to follow you, brother. Dr. O.
Okay. I'm off the grid because I have my
Okay. Well,
reasons, but I will stay in contact with you.
all right. Thank you. BX, I'm
Yeah.
gonna let you close this out.
Yes. Okay. So once again, we had a very good live. I want to just say this. I'm going to give a shout out to the foundational Black Americans and also the American Indians because the more we talk, even if we don't necessarily align, I'm noticing that on like ancestry.com, I am able to find people's indigenous ancestors more faster, so they're updating their records as they hear our voices. And also, Dr. Henry Louis Gates, I think is his name, came and went to Harvard and told Harvard that, slave wages or whatever, the number is significantly less of the Africans that was brought to the United States. So as we talk, they are correcting their records to accurately reflect what we know is going to be the truth. So I'm not a slavery denier. I do believe that we do conflate numbers because the most went to Brazil and that the United States got the least. That's why I would entertain it. I don't like the stigma surrounding our ancestors. So I'm willing to just talk about it because there's some things I want to learn that I can learn from the American Indians. But if they're hostile towards me, calling me a slave baby, it's not going to work. And I don't want to be hostile in return. So I'm going to just say that. Thank you everybody for coming out. It was another great live. You can catch the replay on For the Culture on YouTube. That's Afro Elite. Also follow his YouTube with the same name. So it's Afro Elite and For the Culture. And you'll see us live, hopefully, before the weekend is over and we can continue the topic, unless we have an emergency that comes up. Then
Peace,
it'll
love,
be
and light.
another
Peace,
time.
love, and light,
But
brothers
make
and
sure y'all
sisters.
follow. Yes, peace, love, light, and reparations and
Good night.
restitution for
Good
those who
night,
don't believe in
my indigenous
reparations.
brothers and sisters. My indigenous brothers and sisters, bro.
All right. Well,
Peace.
Already here.
Okay.
America
y'all
always
have a
been
good
great.
one.
Yes,
Peace.
America first. Peace. Peace, Afro.
Peace, BX.